魔王様。いい声だ。さすが B 級。感謝するぞルシフェル。できた。
Welcome to The Devil is a Part-Timer, where, well, the devil's comedic ally has to work a part-time job at fast food while being hunted down. In a magical world, the Dark Lord Satan and his 4 generals, Adra Malek, Lucifer, Alciel, and Malakoda, launch a campaign to conquer the continent of Entiila and subjugate humans under their rule of darkness. Despite their initial success, a hero emerges to lead the human armies against the dark forces, ultimately pushing them back to their stronghold. As Satan confronts the hero with counsel from Alciel, he ultimately concedes defeat. However, rather than face punishment, Satan and Alciel open a dimensional portal and vow to return. The portal leads Satan and Alciel to present-day Japan. Looking down, they are shocked by their human forms. Later, they are immediately taken to the nearest police station. Despite the lack of magic in this new world, Satan learns more about it. As events unfold, they obtain new identities as Sadao, Mao, and Shiro Ashia, find a place to live, open a bank account, and begin job hunting to sustain themselves. Sometime later, on his way to his part-time job at a McRonald's franchise, Sadao encounters a beautiful scarlet-haired girl at a crosswalk and offers her his umbrella to shield her from the rain. While Sadao works, he entrusts Ashia to take care of their domestic needs as well as research means to replenish their magic powers and return to Entiila. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. Who is the best leader in all of anime? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. In a flashback, after Satan and Alciel's departure from Entiila, the heroine Emilia and her comrades decide to give chase. Back in present-day Japan, Sadao tries to reason with the red-haired Emilia, now under the identity Emi Yusa, but she instead pulls a cheap knife out of her bag and makes to attack him. Afterward, they are both arrested and brought to a police station for questioning, where the officer in charge mistakes them for having a lover's quarrel, much to Emi's protest. The following morning, Emi leaves Sadao and Ashia pickles from the ingredients they had in the fridge as thanks. At the same time, the national news broadcasts a report mentioning the shooting that Emi and Sadao were involved in. Chio can't help but feel delighted as Satan accepts her offer to meet and talk about the earthquakes, with caution from her mother to be wary of muggers. Meanwhile, Emi receives an anonymous call at work from the same enemy who shot at them the previous night, explaining that destroying both her and Satan would be in Entiila's best interests. Later, the police are able to track down Sadao due to his bicycle, and Emi is forced to vouch for his identity. As they leave the station, Emi tells Sadao about their common enemy and warns him to be careful since killing him is her job. Afterward, Ashia buys Sadao new clothes for his date with Chio. Finally, it's 5 p.m., the time of the date. Unbeknownst to Sadao, Ashia follows them to a nearby cafe to make sure nothing happens to Sadao. As he suspiciously watches them, Emi catches him in the act and is utterly shocked to see Sadao on a date and enviously remarks at Chio's cute appearance. Upon dragging Ashia into the cafe to eavesdrop, Chio begins explaining to Sadao about a strange language she's been hearing lately, which happens to be the language of Entiile, unknown to her. She further mentions that the people speaking the language are trying to contact someone and have made references to a large earthquake that will occur soon. Sadao, realizing that this phenomenon is an interdimensional communication system called Idealink, concludes that the earthquakes are most likely caused by a sonar spell attempting to detect him and Emi. While Sadao is in the middle of his realization, Emi walks into the cafe and loudly declares her intention to assist Chio. However, as Chiyo is about to confess to Sadao, Emi interrupts, leading to a misunderstanding between Chiyo and Emi. A heated argument ensues, and suddenly a large-scale earthquake strikes. After waking up surrounded by destruction, Chiyo and Emi make up, and Emi warns Chiyo to stay away from Sadao before putting her to sleep with a sleep spell. With Chiyo unconscious, Emi calls out to Satan, who appears from some debris in his demonic form with increased amounts of magic. As Emi thinks that she has enough magic left to conjure a sword strong enough to kill him, Satan tells her that he will save them. As Satan moves the debris, Emi is shocked and wonders why he would save them. Satan continues to use his magic to clear the debris and keep everyone in the mall out of harm's way, and in the aftermath, the authorities report that there were no casualties. Back in the present, Sadao reverts to his human form and learns that Chiyo Sasaki is the daughter of Inspector Sasaki, whom he used a spell on to get information when they first arrived in Japan. Sadao relays this to Emi, explaining that Chiyo must have gotten feedback from the spell, which is how she intercepted the idea link. He further explains that the earthquake was no coincidence, since it struck the exact spot they were both at, and that the enemy didn't try again when they got out of the debris because he started to regain his powers. The next day, Emi shows up at Sadao's apartment and falls down the stairs. As Ashiya leaves to buy bandages, Emi grows upset at the kindness Sadao had been showing towards her, claims that it is out of character. She further bursts into tears and states that her reason for wanting to kill him is because of his tyranny over the people of Entiaila that led to her father's death. As Sadao laments that back then he didn't understand people's feelings, Ashiya walks in with Chiyo, who misunderstands the scene and runs away with a broken heart. Just then, their landlady, Miki, comes in and advises that they go after Chiyo and make references to the idea link and sonar spell. At the same time, two of Emilia's comrades from Entiaila hurry through another portal to Japan. While tearfully admitting she had fallen in love with Sadao, Chiyo bumps into a strange person who tells her he will use her envy and despair of the Dark Lord and the hero to surpass Satan. He then manifests black wings, and as Sadao, Emi, and Ashiya approach from afar, an explosion occurs and the winged person takes to the air. As Sadao, Ashiya, and Emi climb the rubble, Sadao acknowledges the person, Demon General Lucifer. Emi asks Lucifer how he survived their previous battle on Entiaila. Sadao is able to deduce that he was abided by Olba Meyer, who reveals himself behind Lucifer, much to Emi's shock. Sadao further states that Olba was the only one who could have schemed against him and Emi, and that he was going to assume power in Entiaila after killing them and promising to return Lucifer to heaven in exchange for his help. Lucifer then attacks them, with Ashiya taking a near-fatal hit, causing Sadao and Emi to flee. Sadao explains that Lucifer draws his magic from people's negative emotions, and thus was responsible for the string of muggings reported in the area, which he realized after his own magic returned during the mall collapse when the victim's fear fueled his own power. Since he could have regained his magic any time, Lucifer asks Sadao why he didn't throw the world into chaos, and he states that he doesn't want to cause trouble for the present world that treated him well, just as Lucifer uses Chico's emotions to attack them with a barrage of magic bullets. Olba appears with a gun and shoots Sadao's leg, just as he teleports them to the front of the crowded Sazazuka station. Here, as the crowd looks on in awe at the spectacle, a magic bullet seemingly kills Sadao. Lucifer then attacks the overhead roadway and it collapses straight towards Emi and Chiyo. Just then, Satan emerges in his demonic form and saves Emi and Chiyo from being crushed. Emi realizes he teleported them to the crowded area on purpose so he could feed off everyone's fear and regain his magic. Satan then projects a barrier around the entire city, knocking all the civilians unconscious. Emilia summons her magic and takes to the skies and engages Lucifer in aerial combat. Emilia is saved from a strong attack by Ashiya, also in his demon form, explaining that Satan's magic saved him from death. Lucifer, outmatched, coerces Olba to use his remaining magic to help him. Satan promises to show Chiyo how the soft serve machines work later and lets the debris down gently. Olba begins attacking with lightning magic but is defeated by Alciel. Finally, Satan rises into the air. having gained enough magic power, appearing in front of the petrified Lucifer and finishes him with a multi-layered magical punch. In the aftermath of the battle, the group officially introduces themselves to Chiyo, and Lucifer gives Emi back her wallet, which she used to contact her at the call center. Later, a new tenant moves into Mickey's apartment building, and Satan catches her as she falls down the stairs and passes out.
俺を相手にするには貴様には俺の聖剣をくれてやる。天使、神に許しでもこれ。迷える子羊を救い。
Suzuno Kamazuki, who had fallen down their apartment building stairs, comes to introduce herself to Sadao, Ishio, and Urushihara the next morning and gives them a box of udon noodles as a friendly gesture. Back in Sadao's apartment, Suzuno introduces herself to Emi and thinks that she and Sadao are in some kind of relationship because of their unreserved manner when speaking to each other, which she denies. Emi then speaks with Suzuno outside and seemingly misunderstands that Suzuno might like Sadao, a conversation that Emi finds similar to the one she had with Chiyo after the earthquake. Although Suzuno already knows who Emi is, being from Enti-Isla, unbeknownst to Emi herself, Emi then warns Suzuno not to get close to Sadao. Chiyo and Emi visit Sadao's apartment and are surprised to find Suzuno still helping Sadao and company with their domestic chores, much to Chiyo's shock. After the group settles down for lunch prepared by Suzuno and a bit of small talk, Emi offers herself to Suzuno to shop for more modern clothing. Later, as Sadao walks Chiyo home, she confesses her feelings for him while disregarding the fact that he is a demon since she already fell for him. Just then, Suzuno overhears Chiyo's confession, causing Chiyo to run away in embarrassment. Suzuno follows up by asking Sadao about his own response to being loved by people, and is visibly surprised by his sincere response. Afterward, Suzuno meets Emi at the Sasazuka station and they both inadvertently reveal their misunderstood intentions towards Sadao over the events of the past few days. As Suzuno introduces herself as a resident of Enti-Isla, Crestia Bell, first interrogator of the Reformation, although Emi cuts her off and takes her to a cafe to exchange information. Here, Suzuno informs Emi and she was sent under orders by the Church of Enti-Isla to investigate any leads on the missing Olba Meyer, and further asks that Emi returns to Enti-Isla after defeating Satan so that she can confront the church about the cover-up regarding Olba's traitorous actions. Emi hesitates to trust Suzuno, especially since her superior's actions endangered everyone in the underground mall, just to kill Emi and Sadao. However, before leaving, Emi advises Suzuno to be careful about how she interacts with Sadao, as it could reveal her true agenda. A new fast food joint, Kentucky Fried Chicken, boldly opens across the street from McDonald's. As a result, McDonald's starts losing customers. The manager of Kentucky, Mitsuki Sadue, pops into McDonald's to meet its manager and check out the competition. Sadao counters by having Ashia spy on Kentucky. Suzuno waits for Emi after work at the call center and expresses a desire to visit Sadao's workplace at McDonald's. However, Rika Suzuki misunderstands the situation as a lover's quarrel developing between Suzuno and Emi over Sadao, irritating Emi. Rika, Emi, and Suzuno head to Hatagaya and find the Tanabata festival in full swing. Rika, still excited about the supposed lover's quarrel between Emi and Suzuno, proposes they stop at the newly opened Kentucky Fried Chicken to learn more about the conflict. Emi rejects Rika's idea of her and Sadao being a couple, frantically insulting him. However, Ashia, who had been nearby during reconnaissance on Kentucky for Sadao, interrupts and introduces himself. After some chatting, Ashia uses a metaphor to clarify the history between Emi and Sadao, resolving Rika's misunderstanding. As McDonald's loses business to Kentucky during the festival, Sadao faces a difficult decision. He ultimately decides to keep his employees busy until a more promising business opportunity arises. In the meantime, Ashia, Emi, Suzuno, and Rika pay a visit to McDonald's. Unfortunately, Rika's first impression of Sadao leaves much to be desired, much to his annoyance. Sadao attempts different marketing schemes to attract festival goers to McDonald's, but none of them work. However, he comes up with a clever plan to incorporate the franchise into the festival. He contacts a friend to deliver bamboo plants to display in front of the restaurant and has his staff decorate them. Then, Sadao announces that festival patrons can hang wishes on the plants and receive a complimentary drink. This strategy proves successful as McRonald's becomes flooded with customers. While this is happening, Suzuno notices a strange purple aura hanging over the crowd in front of McRonald's, adding to her suspicion of Sadao. After a successful day at work, Miss Kisaki tells Sadao that he's been chosen to help the McRonald's branch at Fushimi Park with their business during a fair. Later, Urushihara suggests that they investigate the haunted house at the fair to harvest magic from people's fear. Suzuno overhears their conversation and tells Emi as a precaution. Chio invites Emi, who brings Suzuno along, to the fair out of suspicion towards Sadao and company. While Sadao works at Fushimi Park's McRonald's and impresses its manager, Chio tries to get his attention, but fails. The girls explore the rest of the fair and visit the haunted house, which proves to be too scary for them. They then move on to the reptile exhibit, where both Emi and Chio reveal their fear of reptiles. Suzuno mentions having eaten them before as a delicacy in the southern part of Entiaila. As the girls make their way home, Suzuno senses a white-winged being watching her, but it disappears when she turns to look. Ashia is still struggling with his illness, and Miki has sent boxes of Hawaiian merchandise for Sadao and his team to sell at a bazaar in the shopping district. In the present, Suzuno exposes her true nature to Chio and justifies her plan to kill Sadao. Chio becomes emotional and defends Sadao's kindness. Emi opposes Suzuno's plan and advocates for a peaceful world. This enrages Suzuno and she abruptly leaves. As Emi and Chio walk home, the masked man with the scythe suddenly attacks them. He reveals himself to be the fallen angel Mitsuki Sadue and quickly overpowers Emilia in battle. While Chio attempts to call Sadao for help, she is knocked unconscious by Suzuno. Meanwhile, Chio's mother informs Sadao that Chio never made it home. Sadao tracks Emi's location, but discovers Suzuno heading towards City Hall. Realizing that Mitsuki Sadoe's identity is a forgery, Sadao rushes to City Hall to save Chio. As Sadao races against time, Olba awakens in the hospital. Ashia exits his hospital room and finds an unconscious police officer. As he investigates, Olba Meyer suddenly awakens and violently punches him into submission. Meyer learns about Sadao's residence from Ashia's insurance card. Meanwhile, Sadue begins torturing Emi sadistically at City Hall to obtain the better half, but it refuses to manifest in his presence. Satan destroys Sadoe's barrier with his remaining magic just as he arrives. Suzuno strikes him with a magical mallet, but is astonished to discover that Sadao and the demons had known about her all along. Even though Sadao lacks magic, he endures Suzuno's assault and rises to save Chio from Sadoe. This causes Suzuno to realize that unlike Sadao, she has forsaken her comrades. Olba visits Urushihara to re-establish their contract. As Sadoe's perverted nature begins to reveal itself, Emi claims that Sadao will come to save Chio because of his instinct to protect his coworkers. Sadoe mocks Emi's claim, but much to Chio and Emi's relief, Sadao does arrive. However, Sadao is easily overwhelmed by Sadoe due to his lack of magic. Olba casts a spell to enlarge the moon, boosting Sadoe's magic but causing panic in the city. This panic also grants Sadao a magical boost, while Suzuno sides with him. Despite this, Sadoe remains confident in his power. Eventually, Lucifer knocks out Olba and cancels the moon spell, as he had tricked Olba into creating chaos for Sadao's benefit. Finally, Sadao and Sadoe engage in an epic aerial battle that destroys half of the city and ultimately ends with Sadoe's defeat to Sadao's demon sword. Chio dreams that Sadao returns to Entiaila, leaving her behind and causing her great pain. The next day, when she tells Sadao about the dream, he explains that he cannot return because he has used all of his magic repairing the city after the battle with Sadoe. They also learn that Sadoe is trapped in the McRonald's freezer due to Sadao's magical bamboo redirecting his portal. To everyone's surprise, Sadoe becomes infatuated with Mayumi Kisaki, much to her disgust. Emi spots multiple boxes delivered to Sadao's apartment, fueling her suspicions. Meanwhile, Sadao requests a shift change from Mayumi at work, leaving Chio worried that he may go back to Entiaila. However, Sadao apologizes to Chio and conceals his true intentions. Chio and Emi follow Sadao the next day to uncover his recent activities. They discovered that Sadao and Ashiya had taken extra jobs to pay for Urashihara's GPS trackers, which had saved them from Sarue. While questioning Sadao about some boxes, they return to Villa Rosa to find out that Urashihara had fallen prey to a purchasing scam, resulting in him buying useless items. Sadao and Emi go to the retailer for a refund, only to find out that Ashiya works there. Unfortunately, the manager denies the request, citing a contract signed by Urashihara. However, Emi saves the day by invoking the cooling off period. Afterward, Sadao and Urashihara mark their triumph by dining at a restaurant, while everyone else resumes their ordinary lives in the human world. In the epilogue, Sadao walks home in the rain after work. He waits at the crosswalk, where Emi comes up to him and offers a new umbrella to replace the one he had lent her. Sadao expresses his gratitude, and Emi greets him with a smile. What a great end to this fantastic anime. Go check out our other anime recaps, and don't forget to like and subscribe.